The bedroom door slammed, the sound splintering the quiet of our small apartment like a gunshot. "You're not my dad, David. Stop questioning where I go." Sarah's voice, sharp and venomous, lingered in the air, her words slicing through the haze of my confusion. I stood frozen in the living room, her purse still swinging from her shoulder in my mind's eye as she stormed out. The faint scent of her jasmine perfume clung to the couch cushions, mocking me. Where was she going at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday? Why did her eyes dart away when I asked? My chest tightened, a dull ache spreading like ink in water. I told myself it was nothing, just a fight, just her needing space. But the silence that followed her exit felt alive, heavy with secrets it wasn't ready to spill. Our apartment, once a haven of laughter and shared dreams, now felt like a stage set for a play I didn't understand. The dim glow of the floor lamp cast long shadows across the hardwood, stretching toward the framed photo of us on the mantel. Sarah's arms around my neck at last year's beach trip, her smile wide and unburdened. I walked to it, my fingers brushing the glass, and noticed the faintest smudge on her side of the frame, like she'd touched it recently. Why? My mind churned, replaying her rush mornings lately, her phone angled just out of my view. The way she'd started locking it with a passcode after years of leaving it open. Small things, I told myself. Nothing to worry about. But now, standing alone in the half-lit room, those small things felt like pebbles rolling toward an avalanche. I sank onto the couch, the springs creaking under my weight, and tried to piece together the last few weeks. Sarah had been distant, sure, but she'd always been fiercely independent. "I need to breathe, David," she'd say when I asked about her late nights at work or her sudden weekend plans with friends I'd never met. I'd nod, swallowing my unease, because I loved her. Because I trusted her. Because questioning her felt like betraying the woman who'd cried in my arms when her mom passed, who'd laughed until she snorted when I burned our first Thanksgiving turkey. But tonight her words, "You're not my dad," cut deeper than they should have. They weren't just defiance. They were a wall built to keep me out. The clock on the wall ticked toward 11 p.m., each second a hammer against my skull. I grabbed my phone, tempted to text her, but stopped. What would I say? "Come home? Where are you?" Instead, I opened our shared calendar, something we'd set up to keep our chaotic lives in sync. Her schedule was blank tonight, just like it had been last Thursday when she'd come home at midnight, her hair slightly mussed, her lips stained with wine she claimed she'd had with the girls. I scrolled back, noticing gaps, empty evenings that hadn't been there a year ago. My thumb hovered over her contact photo, a candid shot of her laughing at a street fair, her eyes crinkling with joy. I didn't recognize that woman tonight. The sound of my own breathing filled the room, too loud, too uneven. I stood and paced, my socks scuffing against the rug. The kitchen counter caught my eye, her coffee mug sat there, lipstick smudged on the rim, a faint pink shade she hadn't worn in months. I picked it up, the ceramic cold against my palm, and something twisted in my gut. Why was it here unwashed, when she'd been so meticulous lately? I set it down too hard, the clink echoing. My eyes darted to her coat rack by the door. Her favorite scarf, the red one I'd bought her for Christmas, was missing. She hadn't worn it out tonight. Or had she? I couldn't remember. The details were slipping, blurring into a fog of doubt. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe the ache in my chest, maybe the silence screaming louder than my thoughts. But I grabbed her laptop from the coffee table. She'd left it open, the screen dark but unlocked, a rare slip for someone who'd grown so guarded. My hands trembled as I tapped the trackpad, the screen flickering to life. Her email was open, a message pinned at the top, marked read. The sender's name was just initials, JM, and the subject line was blank. My heart pounded as I clicked it open, the words blurring for a moment before they sank in. "Meet me at the usual spot. 9:30. Can't wait to see you." No signature, no context, just those words, casual but intimate, like a secret shared between lovers. My breath caught, a sharp gasp that burned my throat. I scrolled down, finding more emails from JM. Each one short but laced with a familiarity that made my skin crawl. "Missed you last night. Wear that dress I like. You're killing me with that smile." My vision tunneled, the room shrinking to the glow of the screen. I wanted to believe it was a friend, a misunderstanding, but the timestamps matched her late nights, her unexplained absences. My fingers moved on their own, opening her browser history. Hotel booking confirmations. A restaurant reservation for two. A search for how to keep things discreet. Each click was a knife, twisting deeper. I closed the laptop, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. The apartment felt suffocating now, the walls closing in like a trap. I grabbed my keys, needing air, needing to move, but stopped at the door. Where would I go? To find her? To confront her? I didn't even know where she was. My phone buzzed in my pocket, and I yanked it out, hoping, praying it was her. It was a notification from our bank app. A charge for $85 at a bar downtown, one I'd never heard of. The timestamp was 10:45 p.m. She was there, now with someone else. I drove through the city, the neon lights blurring into streaks of color through the windshield. The bar was tucked between a pawn shop and a laundromat, its sign flickering in the drizzle. I parked across the street, my hands gripping the steering wheel, until my knuckles whitened. Through the fogged window, I saw her, Sarah, my Sarah, sitting at a corner table, her red scarf draped over the chair. She was laughing, her head tilted toward a man I didn't recognize. His hand rested on hers, their fingers laced together, casual but deliberate. The sight was a punch to the gut, stealing my breath. She leaned in, her lips brushing his ear, and I saw it. The smile she used to give me, now his. I didn't go inside. I couldn't. My body felt heavy, like I was sinking into the seat, into the ground, into nothing. The rain tapped the roof, a steady rhythm that matched the ache in my chest. I thought of her words again, "You're not my dad," and realized they weren't just a deflection. They were a confession. She'd built a life I wasn't part of, a world where I was the outsider. I drove home, the road a blur, my mind replaying every moment I'd ignored, every lie I'd swallowed. When I got back, her scarf was on the couch, like she'd never left. But the apartment was empty, and so was I. The next morning, her key turned in the lock. She walked in, her eyes tired but guarded, and stopped when she saw me sitting there, the laptop still open. "David," she started, her voice soft, almost pleading. But I didn't let her finish. I held up the printed email, the one from JM, and watched her face crumple, not with guilt, but with relief. "I didn't know how to tell you," she whispered, tears spilling. "I love him." The words were a blade, final and clean, severing 5 years in a single breath. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stared at the woman I thought I knew, now a stranger, and wondered how I'd missed the moment she stopped being mine.